I guess you want me to go ahead and start then, JJ?
Yeah, might as well.
All right. What on my presentation, what I want to get at it is we'll talk about the Vedas, which are the oldest continuous religious understanding in the history of mankind, at least in the fourth root race here. Christianity is 2,000 years old. The Vedas, they're from India, from Hinduism. The Vedas are 5,000 years old. And what the Vedas are, they're basically the scriptures, the Indian scriptures, like we have the Christian scriptures. To get involved with them, you almost have to be a pretty high scholar. But 500 years after the Vedas were put down, the sages of India brought this old knowledge forward in commentaries called the Upanishads. And there was many sages wrote these Upanishads, which they explain in the Vedas. And there was originally 1,080, and they've got lost through time and destroyed and stuff. And ended up there's 108 Upanishads. And together, their explanation, or where they're trying to lead you, is into an understanding that within each of us, there's a self, what we call a self. In Christianity, it's called God, it's called the Tao, it's called Allah, it's called all the different religions around the world have their own name for basically the same thing. The Upanishads, they address it as the self, having you understand that who you are. And through this understanding of who you are, there's a path you can follow. And Buddha, before I get into that part, when the Upanishads came into being about 500 years before that, there was a story told about Lord Krishna and Arjuna, Arjuna was a young prince and going to battle, and Lord Krishna was his chariot driver, and Lord Krishna turned out to be God incarnate, and this whole story unfolds on the battlefield. It's really an interesting story, and it's actually the Bhagavad Gita, if you're interested.
How old is that supposed to be? Do you know?
The Bhagavad Gita. How old the Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. Do you know?
Is that what you?
Yeah. Do you know how old it's supposed to be? No, it's pretty old.
Probably 3,200 BC, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe 32 to 37. Anyway, they come about. It came about to give us a path to follow, so that we can find what's called liberation. Okay, or in Christianity, heaven, the everlasting eternity. But they refer to it as liberation, and there's a different twist to it. They don't. Hinduism didn't come about believing in a God. You're responsible, and all this trickles down through the understanding of karma, cause and effect. Okay, you're born multiple times because you can never satisfy what you need to satisfy in one lifetime. So every time you are born, you create karma, you create more, and you smooth out karma, you balance it, it goes in a waste pile. But no lifetime you can live long enough to balance all your karma. So you got like a a whole mountain of karma in the background that it's going to take you thousands of lives to balance. So there's a way, they say, that you can balance a whole bunch of this stuff at once, and that's through self-realization, realizing who you are. Now, the self-realization is you are God. Just like the Christians say you are God, but to them, they don't go to God. There's a Brahman, which is, you can't explain what Brahman is, but the self is called self-Atman, and that relates down to the God within, which is the supreme being. So that goes, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you'll get a deeper understanding. But all the Upanishads target the same understanding. And once you understand who you are, and once you can understand have self-realization, your world changes. Your karma has different effects. Your life goes along differently. But there's things that you have to adhere to and go for that lead you in that direction. The way Buddha talked about it is like, there's a river you want to cross. We're on this shore here in the physical form. Now we want to cross this river to go to the other shore, and that other shore is like where joy is, and heaven, what we call heaven, is bliss, no more sorrows and stuff. Well, we have to journey across this river to get there. Well, on this journey, we have to learn how to basically become self-purified. In other words, get rid of glamour and pride and all the things that are negative. Learn how to control and body yourself from fear and anger and small talk, and seek God, seek your Lord. That's what they refer to. Keep in one point. It's very important. Meditation is very, very important, because if you can't meditate, if you don't learn how to meditate, you will never seek the highest you want to seek. You are what you seek. People are looking for God, and they don't realize they are God. They're searching for something they already are. They just don't understand that depth of how powerful they are. We're all consciousness. We're all mind. We're all vibrations. Like Kessler said, to understand the universe, understand vibrations, frequencies, and energy, vibrations, and frequencies. And it's true. We are energy, and we vibrate. And when you think, you send out a vibration. So that vibration you send out, if it's good, it goes into the good realm. If it's bad, it goes into the bad realm. But in other words, if you're thinking of a car, you're in a car club and your mind constantly pulsates car thoughts, they're picked up by entities out in the cosmos that have car thoughts, and they get fed back to you. Whatever you think about, that's the way that process works. Now, you create karma with your thoughts. Thoughts aren't just action. Karma comes, action comes in thoughts. So you're responsible for your thoughts, because as you think, you vibrate. So think the way you want to vibrate. Your karma from last life has carried over, and this life right here that you're living is last life's karma, and maybe a few more lives' karma. But remember, you got a whole storehouse of karma out there that you're not going to be able to balance in one life. But this life right you're living at is last life's karma. So knowing that, your next life, you want to build as much good karma as you can, so when you come back, you lead a good, prosperous, good, wholehearted life. And one thing is you never you never lose this spiritual essence that you understand in this life. Next life, that'll carry on. The bad things won't carry on. That'll go back into the mountain of karma. Once you reach self-realization, this mountain of karma disperse. The idea is self-realization. That way you have freedom. And that's what you're seeking. You're seeking liberation from physical wants and needs and angers and all this. You want to cross that river that Buddha talked about. You want to go to the other shore. But during that process, you have to clean the self up. You can only be as high, as reach a level as high in your consciousness as you can understand who you are now. Tony, were you saying something? You're on mute.
No, I didn't know if you were open to comments just that you're presenting. Can I comment on something or? All right, then I was, yeah, sure. Thanks. Thank you, Stacy. Yes, well, as you know, karma is just and merciful. It's just because we have the circle of necessity or reincarnation that will bring us back to revisit things that must be corrected. And it's merciful because we can always put out a better cause and mitigate some negative karma. It may not for a future. It could be in the same incarnation or not. But the point is that's for our perfection. And I'll let you proceed now.
Right.
Thank you for letting me comment.
Okay. Good comment. There's a thing called cash karma. In other words, let's say you slap somebody in the head, and the next day, for some reason, you get slapped in the head, and that karma is balanced. So you leave it at that; it's balanced. That's called cash karma. You get these quick karma things. Okay, with the understanding that karma is a cause and effect, but it can only be balanced in physical form. So when you die, none of us die, but we've got to use that term. When the body dies, when you die, whatever karma that you produce, good or bad, has to be balanced in another physical form. You can't go to heaven or hell and expect it to be balanced, if you want to believe in those places. You have to be reborn, and it has to be balanced here. The idea behind liberation is not to create karma. You don't want to create good karma. You don't want to create bad karma, of course, because you're going to have to serve whatever you create in this life, you're going to have to serve in the next life, okay? So if you don't have karma, one second, Curtis. If you don't have karma, you don't have to be rebirth. You don't have to come back. And that's basically what you're looking for, is liberation from physical this and that, being in a spiritual thing. Go ahead, Curtis. You want to say something?
Yeah, so we achieve liberation service. Is that what you're saying? So we want to become good karma causes?
Well, what you want to do is balance your karma. Try to balance your karma in each lifetime. You balance your last life's karma. Now, we're living last life's karma. Us people in this group here are more spiritual minded. So apparently last life, we were all we probably had priests and ministers and sages among this group. We were all spiritually involved people. So we carried that forward. That's why we're in a group as we are, okay? But it was created through our karma. Now, we're here, none of us are perfect. And the thing about perfect is just be as perfect as you can. You're not going to be as perfect as God. You don't want to be. You can't be. Look at all the problems you'd have. You can't even solve your own problems. We can solve the problems of everybody else. You don't want to be God. So the thing is just be as perfect as you can. But there's ways of understanding that, and there's a path that we can follow. And this path that we can follow is shown to us through these Upanishads. The Upanishads, as you, how can I say it? As you get into the Upanishads, they'll guide you, each individual. It's not a group thing, and it's not a dogma, and it's not a religion. It's saying that we don't want you to just have faith and believe. We want to show you something that you can experience, to have that experience and prove it to yourself. And the same old saying is, don't believe anybody. Nobody, don't believe. It's always a theory if you're believing in somebody. Experience what they're trying to tell you. And if you can experience it and have the experience, then it's no longer a theory. You know. It's a truth. Well, yeah, my wife just asked me to give an example. Well, like what? You started this. Example would be the feeling, okay, the spiritual feeling that you get when somebody enlightens you. When somebody enlightens you spiritually, you know that feeling you get? And I know everybody here has had that feeling. It's a feeling of coming from the darkness into the light. You get enlightened, and you feel good about it. That feeling, I can't explain that feeling to you. You have to experience. I can say about it. Okay, I'll
It's
take
a buoyancy. It feels like a buoyancy. It feels like a buoyancy. You're being lifted up and carried. That's what it actually feels like.
How about that time, Stacy, when you were driving that Corvette? That you learned how to trust your inner voice when you closed your eyes going around that corner driving that Corvette, and that became knowledge. Tell that story.
I had many experiences with the invisibles. When I talk about the invisibles, okay, you understand that we live in a physical world and we're spiritual, okay? So that means there's two different realms. That's the duality, spiritual, physical. Now, so I'm going to be jumping back and forth. I'm physical, and I also know I'm a spirit, and so does everybody else knows they're spirit. So I've been in this duality all my life, understanding it and working with it and playing with it. When I was a little kid, I didn't have a bunch of friends to play with. I hate to say I was playing with myself all the time, but I had my little spirit friends, you know, like everybody. But anyway, as time goes, you learn that this dual world exists, and so I was following spiritual things that I knew about and practicing, because I had done this all my life. And by this time, I forgot what year that was, in 80, I think 84, 82, something like that. I was divorced, and me and a friend of mine were living together, and I was going to go out to this psychic's house. At the time, I lived in Joliet, Illinois, and I was going to go out to Yorkville, which is about 30, 40 miles, and see the psychic. Well, it was during the winter, and me and my roommate, we traded cars. I had a big Cadillac convertible, and he had a Corvette convertible. And he had a date that night, and he was taking a drive in, and he wanted a bigger car to move around, and so we traded cars. Anyway, on the way out to this woman's house, I got in an accident. It wasn't just an accident. It was, well, I put my hand, myself in the hands of the Lord, you know, in the hands of my God, what I knew. And I should have been killed, and I never got a scratch. I would have run a 90-degree curve at about, I think it's about 55 miles an hour, hit the guardrail and flew to the left and hit a semi-tractor trailer. I had every set of tires on that tractor trailer down one side, and then that Corvette flew out in the field, demolished, and I never got a scratch on it. And what got me to doing that was I was talking to the invisibles, which I talk to all the time anyway, and I got to a point where I wanted proof, something. It was either show me a physical proof, although I've been shown proofs all my life, but didn't know how to pick up the signs or understand them. So they said, if you want proof, we'll give you, here's the proof. You got faith. Okay, where are you at? And now this is during the winter, and I'm traveling 55 miles an hour down a little 2-lane highway, paved highway in a country. And ahead of me is a 90-degree turn to the left. And there's a guardrail. And these voices, the invisible says, okay, see what's coming up, see that guardrail, and see that curve. Close your eyes, let go of the wheel, and we'll take you around that curve safely. So I said, what are you, crazy? I get killed. And they go, well, you wanted a test. I said, all right, okay. So when I was, I don't know, maybe about 3 seconds from the curve, I closed my eyes and let go of the wheel. Well, I didn't know how they were going to do it, if they were going to just take me around that curve, but I hit that guardrail, and that woke me up. It scared the hell out of me. I was, what? And what happened was it threw me to the left, and there was this silica sand. It was a sand semi-truck. You know how they got those big V's down in the middle of the semi? Well, I didn't hit the front. I come off that guardrail, and I didn't hit the front tires, but I hit the back tire there on the tractor, hit the next tire, spun around and hit, I think it was 2 or 3 sets of tires on the tractor trailer, tore this Corvette completely up. This Corvette was a 73, I think. I don't even remember. But anyway, they're all plastic anyway. And just kept spinning it, hitting that semi-tractor, and then eventually, when it got to the end, it just slung me out in this field. It was all snow out there, you know, it was during the winter. And the car came to a rest, and I sat there and I was like, wow, what a trip. And I was thinking, well, you took me around it safely, but Bill's going to get pissed off when he sees his car. That's all I could think. So anyway, that's how far I was involved with the invisibles and my search for understanding and stuff. You know, I've studied black magic, white magic. I've gone through all kind of things that I can't even begin to tell you. But it's been interesting and it's fun. But it's time now, because of world happenings and what's going on, that we get serious. And the seriousness comes in and probably starts to finding out who we are and why we are, and this oneness of connection, and actually not just understand it, but live it. And there's a way to get more involved with living it. And it's kind of explained in the Upanishad. It's a way, it's like this. In Christianity and in Islam's and all the Western type religions, they have a redeemer complex. They have a God, and they tell you right off the bat, you're not pure enough to talk to God directly. You got to go through somebody else. You know, if you break it down, it comes down to the priest or preacher or something. You got to talk. You know, I got to go to the priest first. He's more holier than you are. No, who told you that? You know, we're all as holy as anybody else. We just have to search. We have to seek for that. We're only as grand as we can imagine. We're thought. We think and we become. We are what we thought 20 years ago, what we thought 10 years ago. And we're continuously thinking, and continuously changing. So the importance of meditation, focus where you want to go. And while you're focusing where you want to go, be the part of God that shines through you. Be as good as you can to people. Be nice to people. Make people smile. If you can, be selfless all the time. Look for things that you can do for others. It always comes back to you. The biggest problem now is selfishness. Tony, looks like you're trying to say something, but you're on mute, buddy.
Yes, again, and I don't wish to stop your flow, but I thought it was very, very interesting that the 108 Upanishads correspond on a mala bead to the 108 beads that you would use with your mantra of choice to get some of that state of union, or stilling the monkey mind, as you call it. And another thing about karma, very interesting though, this cause and the effect, and this almost like a tit for tat in a way, but then higher souls, and I'm going to read a very short statement from William Q. Judge on his aphorisms on karma, and it is this. So, no man but a sage or true seer can judge another's karma. Hence, while each receives his deserts, appearances may deceive, and birth into poverty or heavy trial may not be punishments for bad karma, for egos continually incarnate into poor surroundings where they experience difficulties and trials, which are for the discipline of the ego and result in strength, fortitude, and sympathy. But you have to be at a little higher state if you're coming into this incarnation with no baggage to address, just to have that experience for the sake of your soul. So I don't know if I'm at that space yet, but I hope to be. I'll let you continue. Thank you, Stacy.
Well, yeah, you're right. And I tell you what, he was absolutely point on. And the idea is we know we're going to go into another life, okay? So it's a good idea if we think, well, if I got to go into the next life, I want to create good karma, or I want to live happy, okay? I want to live in the best environment I can. You got to understand, though, you can't live in bliss in the next life because it's the next life. It's a human life. So you have to live in the duality. You have to live in spirit and in body. But you want to make the body as pleasant as you can in a surrounding that you can, so you start creating your karma for it, because you're going to come back as long as you got that karma. Well, as you start learning about the self, once you start getting into the self-realization lets the expansion go into a higher level of consciousness. And that's what we are, is conscious. We're conscious awareness. If you ever lose conscious awareness, you're done. But you can't, because you always are. And that's what they say in the Upanishad is, I think it's in the Katha Upanishad, is that that thou art. We are what we're searching for, but we've forgotten. We've been in the body so long, and once you incarnate into the body, you create karma. So you have to come back to balance that karma. Well, before we started knowing about balance of karma, we just kept coming back and creating a lot of karma. A few of the sages, ever so often, God, so to speak, sends avatars to help straighten mankind out a little bit. They get too far to the left, too far to the right, or whatever. So we get these avatars every so often. Like Jesus was an avatar sent by God. Buddha was an avatar sent by God. And Sir Krishna, there's all these avatars through history that were sent at the time that they were sent, and at that time to bring people up to par, so that and then they would disappear and people would go through their thing. So this reincarnation is going to carry with each individual until, well, I tell you what, I can't say how long or how many lives, but the biggest breakthrough is once you understand and can understand and accept this self-realization. That's the most important thing that you can fathom in your mind, is self-realization of who you are. And once that breakthrough happens, everything changes. Nothing changes overnight, you know. I mean, you've got to work at it. And the biggest thing you're going to have to do is learn how to meditate, and meditate properly, and meditate until you know how to meditate, and meditate until the body drops away and the emotions drop away and everything drops away except you and the Supreme. And then when you get to that stage, then you got a lot of work to do, but you got to start meditating. You got to still the mind. We're in monkey mind. Every second, you've got a different thought on your mind. Go through the day, you probably cover 60,000 thoughts in a day. Your mind jumps from here to there to here to there. You go into a store, you see so many things. If you could just stop to say, man, what am I looking at? You know, I get to, sometimes I don't even want to go. I don't most of the time because of this mask thing. I let the wife go in the store and get stuff. I sit out in the car and read. But you got to still the mind. And it calls for meditation. And meditation calls for work. And it calls for understanding. Now there's 4 yogas, the 4 basic yogas, Bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, Jnana yoga is the yoga of knowledge and wisdom, Raja yoga is the yoga of meditation, and Karma yoga is the yoga of action. Now, you can reach, so to speak, nirvana or across the river by one or all 4 of these yogas. And now there's a 5th yoga added to the Supreme, is Agni yoga, the yoga of fire. Now, a spiritual seeker will inherently go through all these yogas a little bit or a lot before they reach the point of liberation, whether they understand it or not. But it's the form of meditation. Yoga puts together this union of body and mind and this togetherness, okay, so that you can think without thinking. So I hate to say that. Let's put it this way. You want to reach your Supreme to whatever you can be, okay? Whatever you want to be is the most you can think right now. You want to be anything you want to be, you can become, because you're mental. You're this body is like a jacket. Okay, we throw this jacket on, and the spirit is the mind. Okay, and the spirit sits back and kind of looks at the mind playing its game with the arms and this and the wants and the needs and the desires and all these different things that the body wants, and keeps telling, and then, but the self, the mind that's observing all this, is saying, listen, why don't you become a little bit more pure so I can shine through you so that you can help your brothers and sisters and help the world become better, as opposed to everybody just playing in the sandbox until they get so old and you go up and say, hey, you got a lot of gray hair, it's about time to come out of the sandbox. And they go, yeah, you know, people are basically lazy. They want it done for them. A spiritual seeker can't be that way. You have to find it yourself, because you're the only one who can find it, because it comes to everybody differently. What I experience, you may never experience, or we may all experience. We all have the same experience to certain points, certain levels. Like I said before, we all have this spiritual high that we get when we get a little bit of enlightenment. You know, enlightenment doesn't come one big shot, boom, you're enlightened, and then you're going to sit back and or kick back and say, hey, I made it. No, that don't happen. You get a little enlightenments all the time in your life. There's some major times when enlightenments happen, but enlightenment just means that the cloud's taken away, which you were, they say, I'm going to say, or what they say, when you're ignorant, but they don't mean ignorant in the way that the Western term ignorant. They mean ignorant, the person who doesn't know. When the ignorant doesn't know about the self, they don't know how to vibrate or think or attune to a certain frequency that will cause harmony. Most individuals, well, almost all individuals, you step on a toe, they want to either step on your toe, get back at you, think bad thoughts of you. Well, the liberation of mind, what you seek doing this process of meditation, negates all that. So you don't have those same thoughts as you used to have, and it's done with compassion. And we're talking about energies, so let me go out on a limb a little bit. Energy, every time you think, you stimulate an energy, okay? What I'm going to get at is never, ever send the energy to somebody of sorry. If somebody's, let's say somebody gets hurt in an accident, or somebody dies or something, you don't want to send the feeling of sorry to them, that I'm sorry this happened. You may want to send the energy of empathy, and if you want to go a little bit higher, you could tap on compassion, but never sorry. And the reason being is you created that, okay? Now, thoughts are things. If you create sorry, it goes into the cosmos, it's all mixed up, or gets hits on the sorry feelings of energy and delivers that to the person of your choice. And what do they get? What is this feeling they're going to get? Sorry. You don't want a person to feel sorry. You want them to feel happy. I mean, but somebody dies, you don't want to, you don't send basically a happy thing, but send them compassion or empathy, but don't think sorry, because you're popping that sorry. You're making that sorry ping, 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 ping. So you're responsible for your thoughts. Because you're creating karma. Now, as you go through life, the ideal situation would be if you could meditate all day long, but you can't. But meditate comes in different ways. To meditate doesn't mean you go sit in a cave in a mountain cross-legged. To give something thought more than just a flashing thought. If you give it a thought for say 10 minutes or so, you're basically kind of meditating on it, okay? To go deep in with it is you get up every morning and you meditate for a half hour, and get your world right, and you go about your day. And during the day, you keep pinging on these meditations that you meditated on. And as life unfolds for you during the day, you're always in that mode of what can I do to help you? You open your eyes in the morning, it's not what's going on, what can I do today? It's what can I do to help you? So if you get in that selfless mode, there's a habit. If you get up in the morning, like I get up in the morning, I say my prayers. I do my devotion. I get my mind straight. I ground myself, and this takes about a half hour. So it's a half hour out of my day to get myself together. And I go about my day, and it unfolds the way I want it to unfold. I create my day. And we can all create our days. We're creators. We're co-creators with God. That was the thing that was given to us by God. I'll make you as good as I am and even better, you know. But we're self. There's more than just God. There's us. Each individual is self. Find out who self is. Let me see if I can. Oh yeah, here we go. There are a couple. I tried to cram 3 hours of notes, and I thought I was going to squeeze 2 hours out of JJ, but then found out it can only be an hour. So then I had to cram those 3 hours of notes into 1 hour. So that's why I'm kind of jumping off on tangents and stuff. Like I said, I enjoy or employed Jill to give me a heads up if I get off too much on one. But is everybody, am I getting too far off on any thing that, am I keeping your interest in what's going on? Anybody got questions?
No, my only comment is I was very, very reluctant to interrupt you. And I think when Anthony, cut in with his remarks, they were relevant and they were good. I didn't want to interrupt the flow. It's just that I was wondering how some of your tangents and examples tied back to the wisdom of the Upanishads. That's kind of where you lost me.
Okay. The way everything ties in is in the Upanishads, they speak of this path to follow. That each individual has their own path, and it basically, the Upanishads talk to each individual. Each of you it talks to different. And it gives you kind of a roadmap to follow, and it incorporates all these things like anger, goodness, lust, all the opposites, all the goods with all the opposites. It covers all those, and it tells you basically, if you think in this direction, these are the things you harbor in your mind. And what you harbor in your mind is what you make manifest, because you don't really understand how powerful you are. That your mind, you're actually doing this. If you think back at, like I said, think back 20 years ago, you probably thought you were at, wanted to be 20 years ago. And you can keep doing it, jumping 10 years at a time. You're manifesting your life as you think. As we're thinking right now, we're manifesting our life. There's a way to change things, and it's explained in the Upanishad. Well,
Can you give them like one of the examples?
Excuse me, Clive Van is saying something. Come say hi to everybody, Dave.
Good evening, everybody, or morning, or wherever you are. Hi.
Hi, how you
For
doing?
the ones who don't know, that's my wife.
Okay, thank you.
Good to see you.
She was at.
It's nice to see y'all, each of them.
Yes, she was at the
It's
gathering
been a
2 years
while.
ago, and she was very helpful.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
She still is. But you were asking about what?
Can you give them an example of whoever you say that you have a shot, a reading of one, so that they have an idea what to
Well,
do. I mean,
yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know how much time I got, but one thing I wanted to,
or maybe next.
yeah, maybe I might have time.
Yep.
One thing I wanted to discuss.
You have about 15.
Pardon?
You have about 15 minutes left.
15? Okay. Let me jump into a way that you can prove to yourself that this energy flows out of you and that you're going to make do what this energy does. You're going to be responsible for this energy that flows out of you to do what it's going to do, what it's going to do. You're going to be in total control of this. And you're going to know it through what I call the 10-foot Buddha circle. Now, the ones that were at the meeting the other day, Rick showed, I had him draw up a Buddha circle. He called it the Buddha bubble, but which is a good explanation. According to Buddha, you don't really need to see more than 10 feet in front of you, because the world past that, there ain't nothing you can do about it anyway. So just be basically concerned with this world within 10 foot of you. But not just in front of you, go all the way around you, 10 foot all the way around you, and all the way around you this way. So you got a 20-foot diameter, but it's called the 10-foot Buddha circle. And within this bubble that you have, that's as far as you care to send your feelings out. You want to send your feelings of joy and happiness and bliss and all the good things, that the way that you would like to feel, the way that you wish that your world was incorporated in this bubble. And as you walk through life, walk through the mall, walk through the woods, carry that you've got this bubble with you. You're involved in this bubble. Everything that comes inside this bubble, this energy bubble of yours, they're going to feel the same energy. You'll see dogs come in, they'll feel it. They'll maybe go back out of the circle. Then they'll come back in, and they usually stay, or they might go out, then they'll come back in. Cats do the same thing. You see insects that do it. They like that feeling. They don't know what it is, but it's your radiance of love and energy and the shining of God through you out to your extremities. And just keep it within this 10-foot Buddha circle, because that's basically all you can handle at the beginning. And as you grow, this will grow. Now, I've explained this to Annie West when she was at the gathering a couple of years ago. And she brought it back to, where's she from, Norway, is it? Anyway, she brought it back to her students, and she introduced it to them, and she said they all love it because they got immediate effects of it. When people walk within your proximity and they enter this Buddha circle of yours, they feel this vibration. They don't know what they're feeling. Don't even say anything about what you have. That's your secret. That's your secret where God shines through you. Leave that enclosed with you. So when you'll see people come in and they feel different, they'll feel warm around you. They'll feel better around you. If you ever been around a sage or a holy man, man, you can feel the feelings around. I mean, you get within proximity of a guru or a sage or a holy man, you feel that. You feel that vibration, okay? Well, that's what you want just within your Buddha circle. Eventually, over time, your Buddha circle will expand until it expands to infinity. Then you're somebody else, okay? But in the meantime, walk with this, feel this thing, experience it, and you'll know, okay? It won't be a theory to you. You'll know that you can cause people and animals and things become. You can also cause them to be erratic. You know, the whole object of meditation is concentration and focus. And, you know, focus, if you can, with just this 10-foot Buddha circle, create a feeling of bliss around yourself that others feel, you can also create a dungeon. Okay, and the worst part is you don't want to create this dungeon for yourself and lock yourself into this. because everything comes in within proximity of you, builds that dungeon, okay? So you don't go there. Think divine thoughts, think good things. Everything that comes within that proximity to your Buddha circle, you want them to feel good. Put a smile on your face. And you know what happens? People who are looking at you, they got a smile on their face. Nowadays, with this mask thing, this is the worst thing that's happened since God knows what. You can't look at a person and see the smile on their face. Sure, you can look at their eyes. That's the windows of the soul, but the smile on the face tells you who a person is. It gives you a good idea. And we're all visual, right? We have our senses, taste, smell, vision, hear, and that's what the mind does. It relates to the tools, and then all this here allows the self to make decisions. We have free choice, you know. But the idea is that you're gonna create karma through this lifetime, and the idea is you want to learn how to not only balance karma, but not create new karma. You're gonna have to learn how to disassociate yourself with the ego and desires. And I'll give you a hint. Desires are hard things to get to disassociate with. Desire, everything you see, we're so accustomed to desires, the lower desires I'm talking about. The higher desires is you desire the knowledge of your Lord, desire God. You stay on that desire in the higher realm, you can't go wrong. In the lower realm, desires are, I want a chocolate sundae, I want a glass of milk, I want a cup of coffee, I want this, I want that. Those are all little desires, okay? And desires, yeah, desires are entrapments. As long as you have desires, you can't graduate. You can't go to a certain level of spiritual evolution. As long as you hold on to desires, it's impossible. You can't take the physical with you into the spiritual. Now, there's a trick about, not a trick really, but a thing that'll help you with desires, and it's called will power. You need to use your will power to negate desires. And our willpower has been stuck in a closet for so long that we're so used to our desires that we don't even know how to use our willpower. Our willpower is like, hey, don't bother me no more. I'm resting out here. I ain't getting out there getting mixed up. Gotta wake that willpower up and say, no, I don't want this. It's something that maybe you're used to a hot chocolate every morning at 8 o'clock. Well, you're so used to it, you desire it. Well, if you desire it one day and you say, I don't want to, you have to use willpower to negate the desire. And then you start strengthening willpower, until you can consolidate thoughts in the mind and slow the mind down. With willpower, they say in meditation, if you get lost, if you still got monkey mind, go into a mantra. I go into my own. Everybody's got their own mantra. Mine's I'm body. Body. Oh man.
Mani
How about that?
Mani Padme Om.
Mani Padme Om. So that's what I try to say to bring myself back into focus, okay, on what I'm trying to meditate on. Some people say Ramna, Ramna, Ramna. Some people say Jesus. Some people say a prayer. Well, you can say whatever you need. See, all the religions, you got to remember something. All the religions, they're all say are from one God. This one God divides himself as different things and came out into these different people from their understanding and their background and their parts of the world they're from. And he broke out in different religions, different trains of thought. So that became their religion. It's all the same God. So the idea that these people are going crazy, killing each other over a concept that they don't even know because it's a theory to them. They don't know what God is. They don't know what life. They don't know what death is, because you don't die. You never have died. You always have been. You always will be. You are that thou art. You are the thing that you're looking for. You are your God. And the self-realization of that brings on a whole new energy of thought and a distribution of will and desire. Seek first self. What is self? Who is self? Find out who is self. The only thing I could say was maybe I would start out with Bhagavad Gita. It's pretty well known, and it's a great epic. Especially you start out with, and that'll lead you into further things if you want to. And I'm not negating Christian spirituality. Don't get me wrong, because that plays also an important part in the same theme that we're talking about. You still got, just like DK says, you got to purify yourself of certain thoughts and certain feelings and certain things, or you can't make it into the ashram of higher understanding individuals. You can be the outer ring, but until you can negate these inner feelings and these inner desires and angers and fears, you're just not really, it's not that you're not welcome into a higher realm, but you're more of a hindrance to a higher realm and also to yourself. But we're put together by our thoughts. We are exactly what we think we are. And you're bound if you think you're bound, and you're not bound if you think you're not bound. We have freedom of choice. And if you think there's no way out of this until I die, well, you're thinking wrong. For one thing, you're not going to die, but you'll change bodies. The thing is you don't want to go out from this body into the next body with a lot of bad karma. You want to go with good stuff. So start now, build the next life. And understanding where you're at now is the karma that's from your last life and lives. But you have to meditate and understand who you are. Quit the monkey mind. Get rid of these angers and these lower desires, these things that you can't take them with you. Look for things that you can take with you, like feelings and goodwill and trust and love. And those things you take with you, and they'll go on with you forever. The good things, the bad things, those are those piles of karma, mountains of karma you got back there that they'll follow you. You got lifetimes after lifetimes to keep going and living through this crap until you find out who you are. And then once you find self-realization, supposedly, this whole mountain of karma turns to ashes. And the karma that you're living this life, you have to keep living it out. But you don't have to continue with karma in the next life because you balanced. So you found liberation. You found, now liberation don't mean you're going to go somewhere, kick back and say, wow, I made it and that's the end of it. No, life is a continuous lesson. That's a great part about it. Yeah, you just keep learning and learning. We know so little about what's going on, and it's just unbelievable. But by finding certain ways, and it's in the mind, you got to understand it's in thought. We are thought. We're conscious awareness. And this thought that we are allows us to be whoever we are or want to be. We've got this jacket of skin on, and we got this mental attitude we call a personality. And we know each other as this person, this personality, but we don't know the inside of any individual. That's why you should never judge. If you see somebody beat somebody else up, Well, you don't know, you shouldn't judge. Let's go a step further. And I'm not going to try to use this out of text, but that incident where, what was that guy's name? George Foreman? The black guy that the cop had his knee on and he couldn't breathe. Remember that? Well,
Floyd.
right away, pardon?
George Floyd.
George Foreman was about,
George Floyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that incident there. Most people, when they see that incident and they hear what happened and everything, the first thing they do is they judge that cop. He murdered him, and they call this guy all kind of names, and they want to kill him, and blah, blah, blah. I hope he gets his punishment, where they're making judgment. Now, let's just say, by chance, that this was a karma payback. And maybe in the last life, this George knelt on his neck and killed him. And maybe he did that to the guy's family before he even killed him. And so this may have been a karmic payback. So therefore, is one reason don't judge. You know, you've got no right to judge anybody because of what they've done. If there's some bodily harm coming to your person or somebody that you can defend, you have a right to take somebody else's life. That's within the scope of graciousness, but not to intentionally harm somebody. Now, so that could have been karma payback, or it could have been creating karma. In other words, now that cop's got a lot of karma, he's got a payback. But then you don't know how karma works. Maybe the powers that be wanted that karma to flow into that situation for reasons we don't know, you know. But
He's going to pay back a lot of
I
karma.
would say,
Wow.
yeah, and we all do really. But to wrap this up, try this Buddha circle, and you'll start seeing within a short time the actual workings of it. And when you see this workings of it, pass it on. Pass it on. If you can imagine that you could pass this on to a person and they felt like that, then you got two people walking around in this globe of joy and bliss and good feelings and stuff, and they passed it on, and pretty soon you got 100 people walking. Can you imagine what the world would be like if we had a whole bunch of people doing that, feeling that? It would be global change. Well, I'm not expecting that. You know, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that try it yourself and see that it works. Then it's no longer theory, it'll be a reality to you. And then you can go from there. You can carry this on to different ways, or you can expand that Buddha circle, or you can focus in on certain things you want to do using that Buddha circle concept. But the idea is to bring pleasure and health and love and pass it on to your brothers and sisters so that they can learn it and they can pass it on. You know, somebody's got to start doing something, and we're a spiritual group, us people in this group here. And we're spiritual, you know, we're spiritual beings, of course, but we understand that. Once you understand you're spiritual while you're in the physical, then you become holy, so to speak. You become a whole man. You understand the spiritual and the physical. You know how many people walk around out there that don't even have no idea what the spiritual realm is? They've heard of it and they say, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, they're spirit. But they've never felt it. They've never come into this close proximity of other spiritual people because you feel something. But then when you're around spiritual, involved people that you don't feel nowhere else. That's why I say when you get around a sage or a guru or somebody highly spiritual, you feel a calmness about it. You know what I mean? Or you feel safe. But you can ask Jill. She's been going to this temple that by her house, Hindu temple, and they have all the different religions involved in there. But that's really a calming place, ain't it, Jill?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'll talk about it another time. It's really an incredible experience to be there.
But try this Buddha circle and see that this Buddha circle works for you, and then pass it on and study along with your Christian studies. Take a peek at the Upanishads. Before that, get into Bhagavad Gita. And here's an author that I recommend, highly recommend. I can't pronounce it. His last name's Warren, but I can't pronounce his first name. But if you want to get into spirituality from the Eastern point of view, first read the Bhagavad Gita and go from there. And you always keep what you've learned through life in spiritual lessons, even when you go into the next life. Your spiritual lessons, your knowledge will follow you, will stay with you, because that's the point of humanity, is a spiritual evolution. And for us to get involved with evolving spiritually, we have to have guides and avatars through time that came and told us a way to think and a way to look at things. And if we go back to the oldest point where religions were starting to be thought of and ideas about spirituality, we got to trace it back to the Vedas, back in early India, Mother India they call her, because in her came the sages that expounded on these ideas and thoughts. And then later they were written on again, in a more understanding detail in the Upanishad. And before that, they come out with the great epic of Bhagavad Gita. And you'll like it. If you like, it's a good adventure story. It's one of the best. But thanks, JJ, for giving me an hour, and I tried to cram it all.
Okay. DK, give a quote from the Upanishads in the beginning of Cosmic Fire. Let me just read this. It's a pretty language. It says, "To the God who is in the fire and who is in the waters, to the God who has suffused himself through all the world, to the God who is in the summer plants and in the lords of the forest, to that God be adoration, adoration." And pretty quote. I was in the library some time ago, and I noticed they had a whole bunch of volumes of the Upanishads. There must be quite a lot of writings in them. But I wonder if they're free on the web. Do you know? I imagine that.
I'm not for sure if they're.
Perhaps if you Google it,
yeah,
it'll pop up for you.
I think you can find excerpts, but I don't think you can find it in its entirety.
It didn't look. It seemed like last time I checked, it didn't look like what the library had. My library had seemed like about 20 volumes of them or something. It was a whole bunch of them, and looked like quite an effort to go through all them. Anyway, thanks a lot, Stacy, and appreciate it. And we will meet here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And the first presentation will be The Power of Goodwill and the Will to Good by myself, followed by Curtis with the Laborers of Hercules at 2 o'clock. And then the Mystery of the Reappearance of the Christ in the Hierarchy at 3. And then at 7 o'clock will be Murray, who we just met tonight, giving a presentation on the Diva Kingdom. And it'll end with some comments by me, followed by Stephen Asha on the significance of the year 2025. He wrote a book on the predictions about that year. It's going to be a crucial year. So we'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So make sure you get your right time zone. And I appreciate everybody hanging in there. It's a little bit different experience than in person, but But we'll make the best of it, and we'll see you guys in the morning.
Thanks, JJ. Thanks, Stacy.
Thanks all.
Thank you, JJ. Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks, guys, for listening to me.
Oh, no problem.
Good presentation. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Stacy.
Oh, good. Always nice to hear something like that. Thank you, Tony.